The government has assured HIV and AIDS patients of an ample supply of antiretroviral drugs following the United States move to cut foreign aid. Speaking in Mombasa, Director General for Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, assured the ministry is strengthening regional collaborations and is seeking alternative financing to maintain access to life-saving medications for people living with HIV.
We have of HIV commodities, be it antiretrovirals, be it the testing commodities. We have strengthened our supply chain pipeline in the last 1-2 years to ensure that at any given time we have more than 6 months of stock. We are told globally as a best practice that if you run a big program like the one we run, where we have nearly 1.4 million Kenyans on treatment, then you must be able to ensure that you have your plan B, be able to address any contingencies that would arise either deliberately or out of events outside your control.
The World Health Organization expressed concern following U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to cut funding for HIV programs in low and middle income countries, a move that could endanger the lives of over 30 million people globally.
Pearl Newsbeat.
The High Court has suspended the Kenya National Examinations Council's NEC decision to administer the mid-year series of the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exam. The exam set for July was aimed at repeating candidates who wish to improve their grades. Candidates will be categorized as full repeaters, sitting 7 or more subjects, or partial repeaters sitting fewer subjects. The court, however, temporarily halted the process after Nakuru-based Dr. Magaragi Kenya filed a petition arguing that there was no public participation in the decision. He claimed there was no evidence to suggest that stakeholders or the public were involved in the decision-making process. The petition followed the next announcement of registration dates from January 26th to February 21st, 2005 for the mid-year exam.
Pearl Newsbeat.
Former President Uhuru Kenyatta has called on Kenyans to embrace self-reliance following the United States' decision to withdraw funding from the World Health Organization. Speaking at the East Africa Regional Global Health Security Summit in Mombasa, Uhuru criticized the government's reliance on foreign aid and urged a shift towards self-sufficiency. He described the U.S. President Donald Trump's decision as a move aimed at prioritizing American interest, stressing that Kenyans must take responsibility for their own development.
Some people the other day crying, I don't know, Trump has removed money. He said he's not giving us any more money. Watu wanalia. Why are you crying? It's not your government, it's not your country. He has no reason to give you anything. I mean, you don't pay taxes in America. He is appealing to his people. Shauri yenu bana. This is a wake-up call for you to say, okay, what are we going to do to help ourselves? Instead of crying, tujiulize, what are we going to do? Haya, ametoa hiyo pesa, sasa tutafanya namna gani jameni? What are we going to do?
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki has dismissed threats from critics seeking to make President William Ruto a one-term leader, calling such ambitions cheap politics. Speaking at his current residence, Kindiki criticized former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and opposition leaders for their stance against Ruto's re-election in 2027. He emphasized that the government is focused on fulfilling its development promises to Kenyans. Kindiki said that Ruto's legacy will be defined by the impact of his administration's policies rather than the length of his tenure.
Tutishe ati rais a one-term president. And pia watu wengine wanatutisha huko jana. Ati our job is to make sure William Ruto is a one-term president. That is your objective. Hiyo tu, just that. And you will have achieved a lot. President Ruto is lucky to be among the 5 Kenyans who have occupied the seat of President of Kenya. Some 24 years. Others, 10 years. If he gets 5, so be it. If he gets how many days, so be it.
The Kenya Met Department has predicted that the long-range season that normally runs from March to May will begin in February in some parts of the country. Met Director General Dr. David Gikungu said that the disease season in most parts will run between February and June. The announcement, which comes amid heavy downpours in some parts of the country, especially Nairobi over the past few days, states that some parts will receive high and others low rainfall. The Lake Victoria Basin and the highlands west of the Rift Valley are expected to experience above average rainfall starting in February, with a peak expected in April and May for most areas.
The peak of the rains is expected to be in April for most regions, except over the coastal strip where the highest rainfall is expected in the month of May. We are talking about higher than normal rainfall virtually everywhere in the country. The northeastern counties, where we find the counties of Mandera, Marsabit, Wajir, Garissa, where we are, and Isiolo. These areas are expected to experience occasional rainfall, whose amounts are likely to be below the long-term average for the season.
And across borders, the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi will skip originally mediated talks to address a rebel assault on Goma, according to media reports. President William Ruto had invited Tshisekedi and Rwanda's Paul Kagame to a regional summit on Wednesday amid heavy fighting in Goma that has left corpses on the streets. Rwanda is accused of backing the M23 rebel group, which has seized much of Goma, including its airport, while Kagame has not confirmed his participation. He voiced support for a ceasefire in talks with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. The UN claims there's strong evidence of Rwanda's support for M23 rebels, allegations Kigali denies.
Pearl Radio, the home of fresh and classic hits.